Everybody, it's Lex from PDQ.com. Today, April Fool's Day, we're going to be installing PDQ from scratch. So, in case you happen to blow up the machine that it's on, you just get tired and want to install it again or installing it for the first time, I'm going to take you through that today. So, Jordan, April Fool's Day, things going well?
No, I don't have any April Fools, but
Okay.
I just wanted to say I appreciate you taking the camera for like 5 webcasts in a row. So I wrote you a little something on the desktop to show appreciation for all your hard work.
Lex is great. A little sailboat. I love it.
Yeah, it's all for you.
Okay.
Oh no!
Really? Didn't even read. No, I didn't read it. We talked. Yeah, I know. I should be reading the PowerShell. Okay, so what's it going to do?
I don't know. We'll have to find out.
This is your fault, you dumb bum.
All right.
Killing, inventory, stopping.
Hey, can you center that so we can read it?
So you can read it. What's going on? Dude, you uninstalled.
April
Not only
Fools.
did you uninstall, you did like
Thanks,
the,
God.
salted earth version of uninstall?
I don't appreciate your effort at all. It was all just a lie to get you to click on it.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I think.
All right, well, now let's fix it.
So natural.
There's nothing planned here.
Great,
Nothing.
great banter.
You like that?
You like that? All right. Installing. Got to have the executables. We'll start with the deploy.
The deploy. All right.
The deploy. So when you install, obviously double click on the exe, and then here we go, preparing the install. Would you like me to read this to everybody? I can barely read my own, so I'm going to take next on that.
We're going to go ahead and trust our.
I mean, this would be a
license
great
agreement.
April Fool's if you just went through this and this was the show. You're like,
This
okay,
is
we're
the
going
show.
to read the EULA.
Just sit there and read the
I mean,
EULA.
if you could read.
I resemble that remark, but I will say this. Somewhere in here, I asked them to put that if you agree to this, you're going to be my towel boy forever. So
Now, serious question. Is there an Easter egg in there? I've never checked.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've only
Anyone who
mostly
knows,
not read it, but
post in the chat whether there's one or not. If our lawyers are watching.
lawyers are watching.
If you stuck in an Easter egg, let us know.
Okay. Thank you guys for derailing. All right. Again, I'm going to take just the destination folder for the installs. Program files x86. Next. And then install. Pretty tough stuff, guys. That's why they let me do it. All right. We'll finish and launch PDQ. Deploy.
All right. So I'm just gonna take a wild guess here, and after you install deploy, you're gonna install inventory.
Well, yes.
All right.
Yes, I am.
I don't want to spoil it for everybody.
All right. Okay. Again, we're just trying to keep this real easy, guys. Okay. When you first start it up, it is going to walk you through getting set up your licensing and your credentials. Here comes. Do you think I can do this without showing our license? I'm going to put this down in the corner.
I'm going to give
I'm
you
going to go browse for the license, which I did happen to put on the desktop in the Secrets of Life folder. Deploy. Give it an OK. And from here, it's 2 tabs and an enter. Tab, tab, enter. Did it.
I just want to show everyone the license that we're using.
good.
Yeah, it was a big thing yesterday when we were doing this. So
Without having to blacklist it.
blacklist our
everyone
license again.
copies it.
Okay, you're going to put that in there, okay? You can run this in free mode. Licensing is way better, guys, because it unlocks all the features. Now, at this point, there needs to be decisions made, whether you're going to run it local or as a server. In this case, I think we're going to take the server install. Jordan, server install.
I think that's probably the best way to go about it.
Okay. This has a few more questions that need to be answered. So click this, it's going to come up and give you the default ports for running central server. Okay. Again, if you look up PDQ firewall ports, it's a great article here, written for IT by IT. Mr. Brigg wrote it. These are the ports we use. You'll notice there's the port for central server, and there's the port for inventory. JJ, I am failing at art class also. But okay, so again, this is what we're going to use to obviously open the ports so that we can do deployments and inventory. The other nice thing is we give you a really cool group policy object to open that internally. So there it is if you need it. Okay. Again, at this point, we're going to now need to put in the background service credentials. Now, your background service needs to be at the very minimum a local admin on all the machines that you're going to run deployments or inventory against. In this case, this is domain admin for us.
While you're doing that, in the chat, Ron says he starts with inventory over deploy so he can do the network scanning while he's installing deploy.
Well, that makes sense.
We've
Now,
been
doesn't
one upped on efficiency.
Dang. Well, maybe we should get him up here. All right. Once that happens, it's going to finish, and we should have deploy central server mode come up, and we should see it running central server mode. There we go, and it does designate as central server. Okay. Now, I will install inventory, and then we'll go through and set up some, we'll go through the options, make sure we got the most optimized for our network, and we'll talk about how you can optimize for your networks. Inventory, very similar. Going to double click on that exe, okay, and we're going to take the defaults once again.
So while you're doing that, and since it's a lot of it is similar, do you want to take a question while you're going through that, just to kind of move it along, and you can move past the parts we've basically done with deploy?
You know what? I'm already done.
Oh.
And the time it took you to do that, short of this popping up and walking through the
Shows what I know.
credentials and that. So again, it's pretty quick, pretty slick. Next, again, we are going to attempt to put our license in without showing it to everybody. Browse. Once again, the secrets of life, inventory, 2 tabs, and an enter. Oh, twice. I did it twice.
You got it all done?
Yeah, it was so much more difficult yesterday. I don't know why it's not today, but now if you do put deploy in central server mode, you have to have inventory in central server mode for them to talk. So got to match. We're going to match server mode. Again, default. If you did want to scope this down to only listen to specific IPs coming in, this is where you would do that. Or I guess you go alter the firewall rule. But again, the other thing, you want to match your background service credentials. It just works better. So this, in this case, it just pulled what I'm logged in as. What was your password that we typed in the chat the other day? I'm just kidding, man.
8675309.
Jenny.
Hey, Jenny.
I actually have officially removed that from everything, so I could give the password if you wanted.
No, we're good. We're good. All right, inventory is going to pop up. Okay, there it is. Beautiful. Let's just start an inventory because, network scan is going to take some time and that. So first thing I want to do is go under options.
Wait. First thing you want to do is recenter, right?
Oh, that's what I meant. The first thing I want to do, because we have a new install, is center this so JJ will leave me alone. All right. So options, preferences, okay. Active Directory. We'll just start at the top. We're going to go sync from Active Directory. Okay.
Again, one more time.
One more centering. That's right. Bang. There it is. It's not like I don't do this all the time. Well, that's the thing. I don't do it.
You don't do it ever.
Ever. All right. Things to know. First of all, auto sync. We're going to set that. I'm going to set it for 7 days because my lab does not change that often. Okay. If you have machines coming and going a lot in your Active Directory, you may want to do that a little more aggressively. Maybe every couple of days, whatever. What you do want is this. In the delete mode, okay, we have import, mix sync, and full sync, okay? Import only means you import from, Active Directory, stuff's in, but if you want it out, you have to delete it, okay? Now, mix sync. You're going to want to use mix sync if you got work group machines, things that are not in Active Directory that you add by hand or, from a list, okay? And in my case, everything I have is from Active Directory, so I'm going to do a full sync in this case. At that point, we're going to include the container. I'm just going to grab at the top level, give it an OK. If you had multiple domains, you add this, you go back in, change your domain, add the next domain, and you can get more than just one domain added to your sync. So there it is. I save it at this point. 7 days, it's going to kick that sync off, and it just added 58 machines, as you can see right here. While it's doing that, I'm going to go over to alerts. Now you notice our sign up for the webcast at the very top right here.
It's the show you're watching now.
Yeah, we recommend you click on that.
Well, I am going to go and take that off. Okay. Now, again, if you want to see those alerts, it's great. We try to keep them very, minimal. We show the webcast, and then if there's any like CNN moments that you need to know of, we'll put some things there too. So
Yeah, we had one about Adobe when it was end of life.
Yeah.
That was of note.
Yep. Now the other thing here, this is a production machine for me, so I'm going to leave it in the release channel as opposed to the beta channel. The beta channel, you may get updates very frequently. The release is only the ones that have been, officially tested and ready for production. Should we take a question now?
Sure.
Before I move
absolutely.
on any further.
Yeah, all right. Is there a best practices or must do for a new installation? I am not coming from scratch, but feel that I may have missed something when we set up at my newest client. This comes from Hot Toddy.
Hey, Todd. You know what? We're walking through these right now. So these are the things you're going to want to look for performance and that. I'll explain a few of them along the way. So let's just keep going through the inventory preferences right now. Jordan, thoughts?
It can vary based on the size of your environment. Since our lab isn't very large, we do a lot of time-saving things where it cuts down on time but uses more resources. But if you have a larger environment, it might look a little bit different. So
Very true. And I'll point this out as we're going through.
Yep.
So let's jump down to logging, okay? Sending anonymous exception data back to PDQ. If you leave this tagged, if anonymous, you have problems in that, we get some information to make the product better. If you don't want to do that, untag it, okay?
It helps us fix bugs.
It
There
does.
have been a lot of bugs that we fixed based on
Okay.
this.
Also, your event log, if you've got problems going on, you can put it in debug mode just to understand it's going to produce a lot of logging in that case. Mail server, if you're going to email reports, you need to set up your SMTP relay. I'm not going to do that today, but networking, this is the first place talking about optimizing things. If you've got a very large environment, okay, our heartbeat, that's what goes out and pings a machine to determine whether it's online or offline, is default set to 300 seconds. If you start doing the math, you start getting over 3,000, 4,000 machines, okay? If you do the
3,000
math,
seconds is 5 minutes. So
yeah, it's going to take more than that 5 minutes to cycle through all those pings, right? So what'll happen is before it finishes pinging all the machines, it's going to start again. So instead of having this constant ping cycle, you're going to probably want to do a little bit of math. I think we do 32 or 64 pings at a time, and assuming the worst case, we can wait up to 2 seconds. So do a little math, figure out what you need to put that at. I just double it if you get over 3,000 or 4,000. Not as aggressive as finding whether machine's on, but it's not pinging the crap out of your network.
Hey Jordan, here's a harebrained feature, not really a feature, more of a PowerShell idea. A ping interval or a heartbeat interval calculator in PowerShell. If you have this many machines, here's what we recommend the interval will be set to.
yeah, that's not a bad idea. We'd have to, I guess, see how much resources taken. And someone in the chat said their DNS guys have asked them to lower their requests. So
Tame it down, yeah.
Depending on who can block your access, you might want to meet their needs as well as your.
That is a very, very good point. All right, PDQ Deploy. Clean up deployments older than. This will keep your database clean, okay? If you leave that blank, it's just going to retain them until, your database gets to a size that you want to clean it up, okay? 180 days, so you got a little bit of history of what's been deployed to machines, okay? I like cleaning that up. Again, your performance is going to perform. Your performance is going to perform.
That's right.
The redundancy, it's going to be... Your database will perform better when it's compact, when it's smaller, when it's clean. So that being the case, that's one of the places you can affect performance. Now, if you go to performance, which is the next one, okay, computer scan times out, WMI timeouts, and concurrent scans. These, if you've got really big environments, you may want to bump your concurrent scans. So far, I've found 32 seems to be a pretty good sweet spot until you get over 10,000 machines on a console. So again, you can play with this. Just understand if you put that at 300 or 400, those scans, you'll start noticing your machine, having some performance with that.
We can't give you a guaranteed if this number of machines, this will work because there's just so many factors based
Yeah.
on
What
environment.
kind of hardware, where you have it on, how's your network, that kind of thing. So for the
that's-
most part, I'd say that's a pretty solid. But I will say this, right here, this service TCP manager connection, notice it's disabled. I disabled this, and it happens to take away a lot of that preparing, where it sits and says it's preparing for a little while to do a scan or preparing to do a deployment. The caveat on this, if you change that to disabled, it is for the machine, not just PDQ deploy and inventory. So just understand you could be affecting other things that are running on the machine.
Yeah, not all of the clients you're deploying to, but on the machine you have deployed installed on.
The console, that's correct.
Click that question mark for more info.
Click that.
Well, you don't have to.
Like
I'm just
that?
saying, I'm suggesting it.
There you go.
And Colby says if you make that setting change, you have to reboot before it's really going to.
Thank you. You do have to reboot. All right. Some other things. I mean, honestly, the jumping down here, the other thing that's going to speed things up is ping before scanning.
Yep.
Okay. I just jumped down to scanning and auto cleanup entries, 14 days. Wake on LAN. If you do have Wake on LAN set up, that'll work. It'll wake machines up or attempt to wake them up and then do scans. Just to understand it'll wait up to, I think, 5 or 6 minutes for a machine to come online to do that. So it could affect how many machines get scanned in a period of time. So that's the settings for inventory. So far, so good. Anyone you want to bring up, Jordan? Anything else?
Well, in the chat, there's been a couple of things
Okay.
that are brought up. One person mentioned that they like having different credentials for deploying inventory to make it easier to track what's doing what. And Ron, and he's not happy that we used the local admin account to do the install and have it to log in, as well as for the background service.
Is Alex watching? Because he'll probably come in and punch me for doing it too. But
So I just think it's probably a good idea. We did this because in our lab environment it's a bit different, but based on your security needs, it's probably not a bad idea to have those be different accounts and make sure they're secured. And you have to make sure that the background service has all the permissions it needs to be able to scan the machines.
on top of that, I need to change my password from something like password 123 to something more secure. Is that what you're getting at?
More
Okay.
secure is better.
More secure? More secure is always better.
I'm going to take that stance. I don't care
You're
who
gonna take that
disagrees.
stance? All right, I'm done. Inventory done.
All right.
Set up, rocking and rolling. The other nice thing you're going to notice once you sync from Active Directory, if you got any, if your Active Directory is not clean, you'll have an opportunity now to see what's in there that needs to be cleaned up. All right, let's go and work on the PDQ Deploy, which
The deploy. Whoa.
The
Look at those
deploy.
icons.
I don't know. I don't know what I did with the icons. Be nice to me. All right, deploy. Again, we're just going to jump in here to options, preferences. We'll start at the top, alerts.
Wait.
Don't want to. I'm going to
First things
center
first.
that
There
again.
you go.
Oh, I'm getting it. I'll get it eventually.
Eventually.
At least there are not being centered excuses built in this time. I did
You know,
remove all that
That's
stuff.
true.
I think you should change your hug bat to the center me bat. You just walk up, pow, every time.
Hugbat's at home
Hug bats at home.
while we're moving offices.
Oh,
yeah.
All right, auto downloads. This should be enabled, guys. If it isn't, I hope you have a good reason for that. This allows anything you download from our package library, when a new version comes out, it's gonna auto download it for you. Here's where you change the setting for that. The default is 7 days. I kind of like it because I don't like testing for Microsoft and anybody. Actually, I like to have other people test, and then as long as that's good, that'll come down. So that's one setting you can do. Your database, in this case, is nice and clean. I don't need to worry about doing any optimization, but you probably should do this on inventory also, is change your backup so it's not on the machine that you're running it. The backup's somewhere. A good UNC path to put it on a file share is a good idea. Deployments, okay? Run packages as, okay? A lot of options here. I would stick with the default, okay? Because that's going to be the one. Deploy user is the credentials that you set up initially that have the local admin or domain admin credentials to do those. Timeouts, okay? This is set at 60 minutes. Seems to be pretty good unless you're installing something that takes a long time. So again, this is a place to look, but this is a global setting. You can do it on a deployment basis, I believe. Change the timeout per deployment, or do I got to change it for the global? I can't remember. We'll have to find out. We'll check that.
We'll fiddle with it.
And And then here, database cleanup, delete deployments after 30 days. Good idea to keep that database clean. Now this one right here is probably the biggest time saver. You know, it's going to go in inventory and kick off the default scan, which is the standard scan. And I will tell you this, okay? My hardware doesn't change as often as I install software. So that being the case, I'm going to grab applications so that when I do an installation or a deployment, it's going to update inventory.
You mean you don't run a data center?
Pardon me?
You don't run a data center?
No. Maybe.
Run and manage?
Probably not. Anyway.
Yeah, the standard scan's not slow by any means, but it does, on top of the application scan, a whole bunch of other stuff. So just grab what you need.
Yep, just get what you need. Minimize exposure.
It's extremely verbose. And is it resource taxing?
You know, they say never use a large word where a diminutive one will do.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be too taxing if you don't keep a history.
Yeah.
I like that.
But just the initial scan's going to take the time.
Yeah. Now that we've beaten that to death, let's talk about ping before deployment. Again, this is going to speed things up, okay? The machine's there, it's going to answer, and then it's going to start the deployment as opposed to start deployment and hope the machine answers. Waking on LAN, pretty much the same thing here. If it's set up and you use that, it could eat some time waiting for a machine to come online.
So that one's for, if you do the ping and it's shown offline, it will attempt to use the magic packet to wake it up.
Yep.
So if you don't have that set up in your environment at all, you definitely don't want that checked. But if you do have it set up, it is a way to get machines ready to go that might otherwise not get the deployment.
True.
Do we have a resource that helps people get that set up? I think we have a couple blog posts, don't we?
On setting up Wake on LAN? I'm not sure. I think we might.
I'll take a look.
Do we want to take a question?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Can you set up a custom variable to look for devices with more than one version? For example, I'm looking for PCs with all of these 4 versions listed here. Russell K.
Russell. Yes, you can, Russell. Let me pop over to inventory. Again, options, variables. You can set up, and we'll just call this apps for now.
Pause.
And I'll center it. Thank you. So I'm going to do this in a single, and what I will do is we'll say we're going to look for Chrome, and I'm going to use a regular expression. Okay, pipe or Firefox. Okay, I think we did this the other day, Chrome or Firefox, and now say exit this. We'll just build a new dynamic collection referencing that custom variable. New dynamic collection. I want machines that have application where the name matches expression.
Again, I'm going to pause you.
Oh, man, you know what?
I know,
I'm
it's
just so
fresh.
excited
I get
to
it.
show it, I don't even want to center it.
It's fresh install.
Control C, I'm going to put it here. And we'll call this apps. Give that an OK. And now you'll notice Chrome, Firefox, and those are machines that have Chrome or Firefox on it. And if you wanted to reference that in a report, you can do the exact same thing.
So Russell did put a clarification in the
Yeah.
chat. He said if there's 2 different versions of the same software in a PC, he wants to separate for dynamic collection. I'm muted, I apologize about that. So if he has app version 1 and app version 2, he wants app version 1 PCs only that do not also have 2, like to separate it based on that. So not just, it doesn't have each of these,
Don't
but
put them
if
together,
it has
but-
this one and this one, or we only want ones that only has version 1, so it's a bit more involved. I don't know if we could do that one
I don't
on
know.
the fly.
Live right now, I know it can be done. I mean, it's very similar to this. You can regular expression that. You can does not match regular expression, this or that. So, yeah.
So on that one, it can do it, but not really. We can do it live without taking up the majority of the time. So if
Yeah.
you put in a question with our support, I'm sure they can help you get that built out.
Thank you. Absolutely. All right. Logging, same thing here as in inventory, right? Send anonymous data, help us make the product better for you if you want. And again, if you're troubleshooting, you can hit debug. Just remember to turn it off, okay? Again, mail server, same thing. Performance, okay? Now this can be a little bit to explain. Concurrent targets per deployment. So right now it's set to 8. So I can send Chrome to all the machines in my lab. Let's say I have 50 machines. It will do 8 at a pop, okay? Now, total concurrent targets means I can send 8 Chrome, I can send 8 Firefox, I can send 8 until we hit 32 concurrent. Okay. The other nice thing, when you do prioritization, you can actually bump those numbers. It'll automatically bump the numbers up as you prioritize things up to the point where you hit total concurrent targets. So
That's another, there's no default best practice. It's kind of your environment. If you have amazing speeds and a network team that's not paying attention, just crank that right up.
well, I will say this. I did help a customer had over 15,000, and when she had that set to like 200.
Ooh.
And it did have an effect. They would deploy, and then they'd get so much data back. The machine was chugging through, putting the data back in the database, and you could see it actually, it would log up or kind of back up. Eventually, it caught up. But we found, in that case, we changed it to 32, and I think it was on 124, and things went good. So again, that's some scientific wild guesses there, swag, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, copy.
Good self-edit.
Go ahead.
I said good self-edit.
Thank you. No one's going to talk to me after about my bad mouth. Copy mode, pushing and pulling. All right. If you put, and I would highly suggest you put your repository on a file share. Again, a nice good UNC path. This is putting it on the C drive. If you do that, you're going to want to come back here to performance and change that over to push so it doesn't copy. If you leave it in push, it'll copy from the file share to the console to the end node. If you put it in pull mode, it will send the instructions to the end node to grab it from the file share. Okay. And if you're doing site to site and you're doing replication, definitely want to do it in pull. Again, same thing here. TCP connections, same thing. I said it earlier. Again, that helps minimize the time to connect to a machine. So again, try that in your environment. Repository I did mention. Okay. The other thing, see unused files. Apparently, I had a bunch from the legacy version. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't change the repository, so we removed a lot of stuff, but we didn't clean up.
Didn't clean up the repository.
Didn't center either.
And I didn't center. It's just not going to happen, JJ. Without being reminded.
Keep going.
Not going to happen. Finally, another thing I want to just finalize, end on in regards to setups here. Target filters, okay? JJ will appreciate it if I don't deploy to WKRP or Rick Sanchez, right?
Yeah, WKRP doesn't matter much anymore.
Doesn't it?
That machine's been off since
forever.
Since
Okay.
Bats made the news.
You notice the two things I've done here, right? I put a splat at the end because we got multiple Rick Sanchez's. This I probably should have put a splat because we do have multiple. But again, I'm going to exclude as opposed to include. It's like whitelist or blacklist, right? This blacklist machine's not to get deployments as opposed to I would have to go add every machine for inclusions. So it's a place that you can, put a little secondary protection in regards to deployments. What's your thoughts, Jordan?
Just be aware that if you eventually do want to send something that's on the target list, once you set it, you're probably not going to look at it again. So if you're trying to deploy to those at some point in the future, as I have done, you have to go and remove it from there if you're going to go or make an exception for a brief time.
Very true. Very true. So that's basically from scratch, ground up. Went through some of the most of the preferences that you need to tune your performance. Should we do a speed round? We got more questions.
That's a great idea.
Let's give it a go.
Cool.
All right, we do have a few left. All right, here we go. Not on topic, but I have recently noticed that I am no longer able to see running processes when viewing computer details in inventory. It used to take 10 to 15 seconds for the window to populate in the past, but now it just hangs on opening database when I click on processes. What did I break? Jeff P. wants to know.
Opening processes. So if I open a machine, we'll say Bugs Bunny, and we're going to go take a look at processes here. There. So it's connecting. This is actually connecting to Bugs Bunny right now and pulling the processes that are actually running. So it does take a minute. Well, maybe not a minute. It does take a little time to connect. There we go. There's my processes, and you can kill processes from here. So if that keeps popping, send send support
In his case, he said that's not working for him anymore, which it should be. So I would definitely open up a ticket on that one so we could take a look at why.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. I am looking to sync PDQ with an outside cloud vulnerability system. Does PDQ have the ability to talk to cloud services via a REST API or similar so that I can push data from the cloud vulnerability system into PDQ inventory? Thanks, A. Solomon.
Now, there's no REST API. What you can do, again, is set up custom fields to take that data, have that cloud service put out a CSV file referencing the machine name. That's what you're going to link on, and then you can, from the import under, let's just go look at this, custom fields.
I think the REST API is on the cloud service.
Oh, on the cloud server. Huh.
So if it's on there, we do have the PowerShell scanner, which you could run against the REST API on that one.
Okay.
But without knowing more details, I couldn't get past the idea of it should be possible. But that would be able to go out and scan and input the information you need to grab it into a scan onto your system, but I don't know past that without knowing a little bit more.
Would you be willing to tell us what cloud service it is? And maybe we can say, hey, this is something we can do a blog on? I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. The PowerShell, like Jordan says, if you're looking to pull data in from that, you probably could do that. So, what else we got?
All right. Just a few more. So, LDAPS on port 636. Is that something you great guys are looking into? Thanks. Bah.
LDAP secure, right?
Yeah.
So that's
So it's just an encrypted version.
the encrypted version of LDAP, port 636. Are we looking at that?
Yeah, I'm not sure our product uses LDAP.
I mean,
Even in
Active
the background?
Directory. Yeah, I think that's one. Probably send a ticket to support. Probably have to ask the developers on that one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, as far I don't know of us using LDAP or plans to use LDAP-S, so it's difficult to give a great answer for that
Yeah,
one.
We'll go with maybe.
Maybe.
So, next, let's walk past that bad answer.
All right, we got a few more questions. A couple of them are from A. Solomon. So he wants to know, what are the minimum permissions one can assign to the account used to gather data from machines? It shouldn't be domain admin, so what should it be? A. Solomon.
You know, if you want to be really, really secure, and I'm a big fan of really secure, if you can do laps, and again, I'm good at being secure but not centering stuff. If you set up laps, that's probably the best method because AD, Active Directory, is going to take care of that credential and that password connecting to that machine. That's probably the most secure. Again, the bare minimum, you have to be a local admin on the machine so that you can actually run processes and pull the information. So that's where I would go. We do have videos on setting up laps in your environment and how to use it here. So
In the chat, we have another person that says their processes seems to be having an issue too, so there may be a bug on that one. So we'll definitely look at that.
definitely.
Okay, next question. Why is deploy version 19.0.3.0 and inventory 19.3.3.0? And that's a question from Hot Toddy again.
I believe it's because Lex didn't get the latest version for both products.
Whoops. I grabbed the wrong install file. Shame on me. April Fools. I didn't think anyone would catch that. Huh.
So I'm just curious. While taking the next question, our process was working, but others aren't. If you upgrade your inventory to 30, do we guys have the same issue that others are seeing?
That's a good question. No.
Well, next one.
Yeah, let's go
We'll
then.
never know.
We'll never know.
The world may never know.
Jake.
All right. Can the CSV be set to automatically pull that data in so that I can get nightly updates? Again, that's A. Solomon.
I believe there's a command line for that, isn't there, Jordan?
Yeah, there's a command line built in. You'd have to have it run on the schedule, or it will look for the file and then run with that command line and import it. It shouldn't be too difficult to get that to work.
Let me
And
just.
Colby just put a link in the chat about adding custom fields to multiple computers that will walk over how to do that.
Excellent. What else we got?
All right. So, Wendy wants to know, why can't I add descriptions to custom tools?
Because.
Because?
Because. Add descriptions to custom tools. Well, let's go and edit. Open the admin dollar. Because there's no field for it?
Yeah, that would be nice to.
Yeah. Huh.
I guess I never even thought about adding description, so I didn't think about that one.
Huh. Yeah, I never thought of it either.
It's the first time it's been brought up.
Wow.
Yep.
Ever.
Yeah, we will definitely make note of that for sure. See if it's
Yeah.
something we can do.
Description's interesting.
All right, just a couple more, looks like. I'm almost always having issues with Chrome Enterprise Google directory failing to deploy, but still applying a shortcut. From Sam L.
Always having issues with Chrome Enterprise.
So it's not installing Chrome, but it's creating the shortcut for Chrome.
That is odd.
I
don't know.
haven't seen anything like that, so I can't.
The only thought I have is I check your AV. I'm wondering if it's the install. The icon goes up and it's grabbing the. I mean, but
'Cause
that is
I
like
think the installer is what creates the icon.
Yeah.
I don't think we do that on our own, or as a different step, unless I'm mistaken on that.
no,
So-
it's the installer does it. So
Yeah,
that's one I don't know how to answer.
yeah, that's definitely one we'll want to put in that support ticket so we can track that down.
Yeah,
Is there an error code that happens on that?
yeah. More detail you can give them, the better. So
Okay. Next question. Will you be creating a package to uninstall Edge Chromium on a per-user install like the Firefox and Chrome packages? And that is from Dean Martin.
Dean, are you asking us to make one? Is
So,
that it? Or, go ahead,
That
Jordan.
one, the way we did it with the Firefox is we are loading unused registries and doing the removal that way, which comes with a whole bunch of risk with that
Yeah.
one. So we kind of wrote the Firefox one as a test case, but to continue, it's, I don't know, just there's something about loading unused registry and
The
making
possibility
those changes
of
that make us nervous.
corrupting a user DAT file is.
Yeah, you can do, like you create an uninstall for the local user Chromium that runs on logged on user and set that to deploy a schedule to uninstall it as they're logged in, but it would require they're logged in for it to take it off.
That's true. That's true. Well, that's setting up inventory and deploy from scratch. I mean, ground up. Hopefully that you gained a little bit of knowledge on possibly setting some preferences for performance. I'm Lex from PDQ. Thank you for watching.
All right, thanks so much for joining the webcast today. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you learned something. And we hope that you just felt generally inspired and awed by Jordan and Lex's presence. Thanks so much. If you want to watch the webcast, it will be on the YouTube after this. So we will catch you later. Catch you next week. See you later.